Hey everybody, I'm Tommy. You're on the Lifeboat. Can I get a 5x5, peoples? I'd be curious to know whether or not you can hear me well. I just got a textology. I just got a text from someone. Sorry, it said soulology. You've been criticizing yourself for years and it hasn't worked. Try accepting yourself and see what happens. It's a pretty cool concept, but we're going to talk about some cool concepts today. Thank you, Sarah Bowman. I like it. Shannon, good to see you. K-Fic, how are you? Jason P, what's up? Hey, Casey, speak of the devil, not be from Canada. Good to see you. Did I see Puka Vista? Hello, Puka Vista. I don't know that I've ever said hello to you. If I have, I apologize. My brain ain't what it used to be. Joni Allen, good to see you. Catherine B, what's happening? Millie the Dandelion, it is always an honor. Thank you, Anna Strews. Andra Malloy, good to see you. Daniel McCoy, good to see you. Danielle McCoy, blessed to crochet. I'm Mary. Aspire to inspire. I've always loved that. RSM. Miss Sunrise Dawn, killing it. Killing it. WP, how are you? The end of musing. Good to see you. Hello, Mittens. 1970. I did have a wonderful birthday. Look at this. This was a gift from Kathy. Making the world a better place since 1970, which is the year that I showed up. Truthfully, I've probably only been making the world a better place, if I have, since probably about 9 years ago. But Lori Lee, thank you. I did have a great birthday. Becky Lynn, thank you for all the support and the love. My sister, Curious George, good to see you. Lisa Trimble, I hope you're having a great 4th of July. I did have a wonderful birthday. I'm going to talk all about it. Marie Marion, good to see you from Southern Ontario, Canada. Hello, Ruth. I'm glad that you're here. You know who's here? Johnny Scoville. Johnny, don't you go anywhere. You and I need to have a conversation. Let's have a conversation, Johnny Scoville. I heard a funny thing the other day. The word is that you left to go write that book because you couldn't get along with me, Johnny. Thought you might be interested in hearing that because it was really, really funny that came along when it did, because we had a long conversation yesterday about which happens on birthdays with brothers, I'm sure, very often anyway, but we're very, very close. We're probably closer than most brothers. And we were talking yesterday about the fact we were lamenting that we were not together for my birthday. Hello, Kathy. We were lamenting that we weren't hanging out. And then instantly I catch this thing. Someone said, man, this is what I heard. Auntie Wombat, good to see you. Annika's mom, how are you? Johnny, I kind of laughed at that myself. I said, if I was really that pissed off at the guy, I just didn't have to save him. Maybe you haven't watched a lot of Lifeboat, but I don't mean save him like I got the cat off of drugs or I got him into medical assisted treatment. I mean, he was dead on the floor. That kind of saving. No, Johnny and I are really tight. But here's the thing. People really go out of their way to come up with shite to fling. Hello, Kestrel. Robin Miners. I was talking about you a moment ago with my son. I'm glad you're here. CJ Harris, good to see you. My mom quit for me, says Puka Vista. Yeah, so it was pretty funny. It's pretty funny. We were bumming up. I know. Where do people come up with these things? Well, you know what? This is what happens when you don't engage. And by the way, speaking of not engaging, I look out lovingly over the people on the deck of the Lifeboat, and I see names of individuals that some of you take screenshots of people from the Lifeboat or from Relatable Reese or from any of the channels that are very closely affiliated with us. Hello, Monica M. Well, there are more moves videos on the way. So there are people who like to take screenshots to show that these people are in the chat of people who hate me. My question is twofold in this all the time. That's right. Johnny's worth $19.5 million if you believe what you read. Go ahead and you Google Johnny Scoville's net worth. It'll tell you just the unbelievable ass kicking that Johnny's been putting on the world at $19.5 million, which is funny because he's not really taking care of his little brother very well with that $19.5 million. You know what I mean? Like, you figure if your brother made that kind of cash, maybe you'd have a Porsche or a Ferrari or something that he just, here, let me kick you down this year's, top of the line 911. Get me the last of a clutch before the car disappears forever. The Porsche currently doesn't look in good shape, people. I'd have to show you the back of it. Long story, but I'll tell it when I get home. It wasn't an alcohol or a drug related thing, but there's a big crunch in the back of the Porsche. Very unfortunate. It is International Alice in Wonderland Day. Thank you so much, Mock, for bringing that up, because that is a very big deal to me, and I was going to be talking about that. But before then, I wanted to say this. Number one, why are you in the trolls chat? What are you doing over there? Look, if you have a problem with the person being in the chat of a troll, maybe don't go over to the trolls channel to check it out. But do me a favor. This may sound crazy, right? I don't want to know who's over there. I don't. So if you're hooking me up by doing that, or you're being kind, I'm not mad at you the first time you do it, because I completely understand why you're doing it. Here's the thing, though. I don't do it. I don't play the game. I don't get involved with it. I'm just not that cat. So I don't want that info. What people do with their time is their business. I don't necessarily understand it any more than you do. The difference being, as a content creator, yeah, Johnny says, I block people who come to me with news of trolls. I do too. I just don't do it the first time. But I do want to tell people, because it doesn't freaking pay off. I don't care. You hear me? I'm not playing either. I don't care. Do what you do. So now what happens, and this is what people want to happen, because I open emails without looking, without knowing what was in it. I did not look, but I didn't know what the person was getting at. And so now I look out and see names of people. Let me tell you something. Right now, there's a lot of drama going on within the SPTV community, a crap pile of it. And you may have noticed I don't get involved in it. It's got nothing to do with me. And I'm not trying to sound like somebody running from a sinking ship, because I think that the cause is one of the most important things in the world. Thank you, Kathy. But to be really honest, I stopped having a lot to do with the community, to protect them as much from me as me from them. Because in all honesty, I can't go do protesting stuff. I'm not going to. And I'm also, with all due respect, I'm not going to beat a story to death. This is a very important cause. And every time there's something to talk about, I absolutely am going to talk about it. But more importantly, what I'm going to try to do is maybe not make the people on the outside look so bad that the people on the inside say, see, everything we've been telling you about those, I won't use the name that they use, the pejorative name that they use for those of us on the street who are just bags of skin. Now, right? I'm not going to, but they're telling, if you're in that cult, if you signed the billion-year contract and you're sitting there at over at the Sea Org, they're telling people that us on the streets, we're after them. We want to destroy it because we're evil and this and that. You have to understand, if while all of that is being programmed into them, there are people outside screaming stuff at them. And I'm sorry, I know I'm going to piss people off. I never saw that as something that benefited it, even if it's done. And there are people who do it well. And the people who do it well, in my opinion, the difference is, if you talk to someone and say, hey, you know what? Nobody out here hates you. Seriously, you should see the world that you're not living in, right? Be willing to research what they're telling you a little bit. Why would they not want you to research your own belief system, right? Why would they not want you to research your own belief system? Those kind of questions, I think, that make people go, wait a sec. Why the hell don't they want me to Google anything? Right? These are the concepts, I think, that if you introduce to someone who's on the inside, can actually make them start feeling some kind of way. So there are troll channels out there that are taking a lot of shots at SPTV right now. And that's, it's unfortunate. It is what it is. Sadly, if you give them a lot to play with, they're going to play with it, and there's just been a lot of drama, and troll channels thrive on drama. It is what they package and sell, right? Drama is the product. So I don't know. I think if you rise above and you make it so that, I'm just not engaging in any of that crap. So again, I don't even want to know who's there or who's doing what. If they're, stay in your own lane, says Johnny Scoble. If by some chance the people are over there trashing me and talking mad smack about me, chances are they're not going to be here anyway. It's probably not the kind of person that is going to want to hang out with people like you, right? I mean, they may come over here to hate me, but this is the kind of chat where if you're a douche nozzle, you kind of get exposed as being that kind of a human being in a chat where everyone else is kind as hell, right? It sticks out like Wednesday in the middle of the week, doesn't it? Or is it me? Hello, Sierra Terry. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Carol, needing a meeting. Doing great work, Carol. Hey, Nat B. Nat B, thank you for the kind email, too. And you know what? Thank you to the hundreds of people. A lot of times I don't know your screen names, and someone will write a beautiful email, but I'm not sure who to thank, because I'm certainly not going to come on here and go, hey, Elizabeth so-and-so. If your name is not that on YouTube, I kind of put your name out for the entire world. And I'm not trying to do that. But the number of people that reached out to me and said just some really, really beautiful things. The last video I did, I tried to answer all of the comments that came in, because so many of you were wishing me a happy birthday. It was really a very humbling thing, especially if you've been locked up. Just keeping it real, but I talk about this a lot on the boat. If you spent a decent amount of time behind bars, there are two kinds of cats in there when it comes to birthdays. And one will tell all the fellas, and they put a spread on. They make big meals, and very often they'll plan this stuff, weeks ahead of time, and you'll get some wine, right? Or they'll get some dope or whatever, because people really, really get into birthdays. The other kind was more like me. I had absolutely no desire whatsoever to celebrate my birthday. It was to me, especially prior to meeting Q, it was just an opportunity to remind myself that I was failing in life. I hope you got your birthday present from me, and I hope you liked it. You know what? All of the number of people that have reached out, it's almost been overwhelming. The juxtaposition from being in a place where you will not even admit that it's the day of your birth, to instead being somewhere where virtually everybody is being kind, is something that takes a heck of a lot of getting used to. Please know that I don't mean, hey, I just had a kitty jump in my lap and I thought, boy, Moose has put on some weight. But it is buying you a late birthday bag of coffee. I'm just desperately trying to find some true connection lately. Well, Teresa, this is probably the place, honestly. And it's one of the reasons, people, that I eschew drama the way that we do here. And so does my son, thank the Lord. And so do our mods, and so do our subscribers, right? It's such a cliche to say I really don't have subscribers. The people here are far more like family. But you know what? It's such the truth. It really is. And when people laugh about that, because there are other creators who will go, yeah, who doesn't say that? Talked to an old friend the other day that I haven't talked to in years. And I said, these people really are, and he said, come on, man. And I said, the number of them that I know stories about, the number of them that I have literally have connection with. Hello, Kenya, Piano Mom. Good to see you. True color. Yes. True connections. My son is a gem, Aaron. My son is absolutely a gem. But the connection thing is incredibly real. And coming out of prison, it was the Johnny Scoville gift of the millennium, is what it was. Honestly, people, I think that the reason that I am the person that I am today is I didn't walk out of prison into a world that everyone walks out of prison into. I wish that everybody who walked out of prison got the Tommy Scoville experience. And I'm not saying that it was a red carpet or it was easy. I was crawling through things this big, right? I'm unbelievably claustrophobic. I took the worst job in the entire world for someone who was claustrophobic, but I took the only gig that I could get. Straight up, that was it. So I went through some hell along the way. But when I got out of prison, you go from every person you see inside, you got one or two friends, serious homeboys that you hang out with, right? But Brett, the dude that I was growing up, man, I went to prison and, no one called me that either, actually. But in prison, most people called me Rock. But I went into prison and lived a life where everybody you see, even your friends, have that guarded, I hate you look at all times. It's that kind of an environment. The staff most assuredly hates you. The doctors, nurses, everyone you have to see. And you can't blame them, right? Because they're not just seeing you, they're seeing every other convict that sat in that chair, a lot of whom are probably not the most friendly cats. A couple of them probably attacked them or friends of them, because there's a lot of that goes on in there. And I don't mean SA attack. I mean punch people in the face attack. It's a pretty dangerous occupation. But you really get surrounded with an awful lot of hate. And that goes on, say, a decade. And you get out. I've told the story before. But I go walking through the door, and an inmate who is in the camp, right? This is a low custody inmate compared to where I was. He's allowed to get in a van and drive me to the friggin' airport. That's his job. He just transports everyone leaving the prison in Oregon to the airport. So I get in the car with him, and I drive out to the airport. And this is right in the days of the face diaper. And so I got mine on, and I got a goatee hanging out the bottom of it. It's maybe 8 inches long or 6 inches long. I don't know. But I go walking into the airport, and the second I walk through the door, this big black cop, the guy was like 6'4", he was huge. And I assume he was a cop. Maybe he was a TSA. I don't know, but he had a badge and he had a bang bang on his hip. And he comes walking straight up to me. Right now, I've been in prison for a decade. I haven't dealt with a human being in the free world since getting stabbed, which had been about 5 years earlier. I hadn't even been out of the prison proper, right? And the guy comes walking up and goes, "I know who you are." I'm like, damn. They phone ahead. There's a bald convict coming, right? Make sure this guy gets on the airplane. So I'm like, okay. So I start going through. I don't have an ID. I've been in prison, right? I don't have a driver's license. So I have special paperwork from the federal government that is going to allow me to get on this airplane in spite of the fact that I do not have proof in a plastic form of ID that I am who I say I am. You understand? It puts you in a very odd situation. And normally they don't fly anybody anywhere. Don't let anybody lie to you. But this was in the day of this, and putting me on a bus was not a possibility at all. Doc, thank you so much. Really appreciate you. Don't you love it when you see symbols of currency from other countries? To me, I love that. I love that I was looking last night. More than 30% of this audience is outside the US. That blows my mind, man. That is the coolest thing in the world. Thank you, Doc. But I love that. Brandon Calloway, proud of you, brother. Proud of you. Brandon has been sober now, people, a really long time, and is working on transforming his body. He's working out every single day. And I want to tell you something. I don't think you have any idea the big deal it is to attach something else to sobriety, to start working on things. We throw around, just real briefly, and then I'll get back to what I was talking about. But we throw around the word sobriety and recovery as if they're the same thing. They're really not. Remind me later, people, so that I don't squirrel. But I want to talk about that today, because there's a big difference between recovery and sobriety. But this guy walks up and he goes, "I know who you are." And I start going through my paperwork so that I can show him, right? Here's my travel itinerary. Here's my pass from the feds, blah, blah, blah. And my prison ID, which I had, a little plastic thing. And he goes, "You're the pepper guy." And I probably looked like Tony's Hooter. See what I did there again? Tony Hooter, thank you for all of the love and support. Really appreciate you. Hello, Pamela. Thank you. This was a trip, right? And I must have given him the brown, the black lab or the brown lab look where you go, right? Because he's like, "You're the pepper guy." And my head kind of cocked to the side a little bit. And he goes, "The dude on YouTube that eats the peppers, Johnny Scoville." I went, "Yes, I am." Yeah. And he goes, "You need a ride to wherever you're going, right? You need any help?" And yeah, admittedly, I lied and said I was Johnny, but I had a big face diaper on, and it seemed like a very intelligent move at the time. And I was a little freaked out anyway. I mean, everybody with a badge for the last 10 years has been in a position of authority that's different than this cat's position of authority, right? The people over my life for the previous 10 years were over my life. Like, they could tell you when you showered, when you went to the bathroom. Like, it really gets kind of crazy with what they can. By the way, if anybody is offended by this cult leader shirt. I don't much care. And honestly, I'm not. We know this is tongue in cheek stuff. If that offends you, then get a grip. Get a grip. But I said, yeah, I'm Johnny Scoville. And he's like, you want a cart? You want us to get you to get you where you're going or whatever? And I said, nah, I really appreciate it. But it was bizarre because I started to interact after I got out with a lot of Johnny's audience. And I didn't do it originally intentionally. I started to just post some stuff on my own Facebook page, but I had to do it as Tommy Scoville. My brother's Johnny Scoville. He's kind of famous. And I met Donnie Cochran. You guys know Donnie from the channel, Donnie Chili Man Cochran. Chili Man, sir. Very good friend of mine. But being a solid guy, Jimena, thank you so much. I did have a great birthday, and I'm glad to see you. I was concerned about you. It's good to see you. Yes, you're right, Carol. A real cult leader will probably never call his shtick a cult. Yeah, you're right. This is some tongue-in-cheek stuff because I actually get a kick out of it. I really do. Hi, Tommy. I'm a big fan of you and of Reese. Love from the Netherlands. Thank you so much. But Donnie Chilimancer Cochran, being the stand-up cat he is, came at me and said, "Who do you think you are, bro?" And I said, "I'm sorry, what?" And he goes, "Johnny Scoville's a really good friend of mine. I don't know who you're pretending to be, but And I was like, "Oh no, I'm his brother." And he's like, "What? He's got a brother?" And Donnie, of course, reached out to Johnny. But instantly, I was watching him quietly on YouTube, but I started to get subscribers. The whole thing. But you have to understand that I went from being hated to being loved overnight. And if you've been here, if you're Charlie Mullins, right? If you've been here from the very, very beginning, the guys that really and gals that have been here from the start, probably remember when I was doing a lot on Instagram. I was getting probably 10,000 views on Instagram stuff. I was doing a lot of it. Thank you, K-Fix, so much. I appreciate you. I really do. Here are these videos I'm doing and all these things that I'm putting up. And I started feeling like the world's biggest friggin' hypocrite because they all kind of thought I was my brother. And I'm a convicted bank robber and an ex-heroin addict. And one day I just posted that. I said, you know what? I feel like a phony because none of you know this. And I think it would probably, hello, Leslie girl. I'm glad that you are here. Been moving out of our house to my new life. But happiest birthday. What a great one. Thank you, Leslie. And you know what? Let me be the first to congratulate you on your new life. For real. Let me be the first to congratulate you on your new life. I know I just helped my best friend do this and it sucks, right? It sucks. One of the things that I think gets overlooked is that I was moving her out. She was getting divorced. As much as this guy's a lowlife, when you get divorced, it is a difficult thing on everybody. Even if the person is wildly at fault, no matter what it is, when people say till death do us part, most people really believe that stuff. So when you catch one in the stomach or raisins or whatever, and you find yourself getting that rug yanked out from underneath you, it can be a really ugly thing. And it's always going to be a really ugly thing. It also can be literally the first day of the rest of your life. And I know that that's trite and I know that it's worn out and it's the world's biggest cliche, but cliches don't get there by accident. And this really is an opportunity for you to find the person out there that's going to be the person that is going to make you happy and love life. Because I believe in that. Sorry, I really do. But again, so just getting back to that. So with everybody, I remember that first birthday over at Chase the Heat over at my brother's channel. And my brother's channel is huge, right? And it was really cooking at the time. But the number of people that reached out to say beautiful things was amazing. Blue Girl says, I am not an addict, but enjoy positivity and uplifting spirit of your channel. You always have an encouraging word for others. Why, thank you. That is a very kind thing to say. The beautiful thing is, the reason we called it the Lifeboat, right, from day one is this isn't about sobriety. It isn't. Sobriety, let's do this for yits and giggles. What do you think? Recovery. The word recovery is defined as a return to a normal state of health, mind, or strength. Everybody get that? Recurring to a normal state I don't know what normal is, neither do you, but to a better state, I would say, a more normal state of health, mind, or strength. So this whole recovery thing is a whole hell of a lot different than sobriety, which just means the abstinence of anything intoxicating, not drinking, not smoking, not snorting, not shooting, not doing anything that's going to change your consciousness, right? Well, that would be a sobriety channel. And I don't want to piss anybody off, but that's not what we do here. It isn't. I take THC gummies to go to bed. So by definition, I'm not sober. To a lot of the world, that's the truth. I also am on medical assisted treatment and have been for years. I take buprenorphine every day. The very first trolls we ever got here were people that just would not let me talk about sobriety if I was taking something medically to keep me from using. That's not sobriety. Sobriety has to suck. Sobriety has to look like this. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. If there's a medical way to make it easier on people, a lot of people don't like that. Harm reduction heals. And you know what else it does, Teresa? It saves freaking lives. It saves freaking lives. It really does. For me, this is connection, people caring, healing together. This is what has helped me. I love that. Jimena, I love that. I really do.
Happy 4th.
Hey, see that? That was Quibs with the happy 4th. Leslie Girl says, my daughter is really struggling. His family is furious for what he has done. I'm not surprised. I have horrible moments, but I keep listening to what you're telling me. I believe in you too. I'll find it like you too. That's a beautiful thing, Leslie. And you know what? The incredible thing is, and I'll be really, really honest, I am very, very happy right now. The birthday I celebrated yesterday, I don't remember a birthday that good. I'm sure there was one out there, but for the life of me, I can't remember it. You know, certainly in the last, 2 or 3 decades, I certainly don't remember anything that was close. And I'll tell you what we did, because it was really action packed. It was action packed. Yesterday, I said to Quibs, she said, what do you want to do? Anything, if there's anything you want to do. And we could have gone into the city, or there's some cool things around here that are in nature that we would like to check out that require some walking and some hiking and some cool stuff to look at. We've been talking about doing that for a while. So there was a whole host of things that we could have done. And we also could have gone and visited family. And to be really honest, I do groove visiting her family. So all of these things were kind of on the table. And I said, I kind of want to watch it. There's a movie she hadn't seen. And I said, I'd like to watch this. And we were going to put it on the big screen in the living room. And I don't mean big screen. I mean, not on a computer screen, but on a television. And instead we threw it on between us and sat in bed and put on the first movie. And by the time the day was over, we had done 4 really funny movies, but every one of them really poignant. I don't know if you've ever seen The Royal Tenenbaums. It's one of both of our favorite movies. In fact, the funny thing is we share so much in common with our taste in cinema. And there's a word for this in psychology, and it's escaping me. But there are certain people who will watch the same thing a million times because there's a comfort in not having to change the experience, but to just be a part of the experience, if that makes sense. My brother and I used to do it with the Blues Brothers. I bet we watched it 400 times. I mean, we knew every single word to that film. Jeremy Shelton, Thin Ice. I will allow you to abuse the Bee Gees and ABBA. But when you start talking about Caddyshack 2, ew. See, here's the thing. There are delusional people on planet Earth who don't like the Bee Gees. There are delusional people on planet Earth who don't really understand ABBA. There is nobody on planet Earth who thinks Caddyshack 2 was a good film. And certainly not on any universe anywhere. Like if this multiverse thing plays out and there are 5 trillion or 5 quadrillion universes, in none of them does anyone like Caddyshack 2. Yeah, including the actors and actresses in it and their families. Jackie Mason did not like it. Now stop that. Yes, this is, you know what? I'm putting this up. I'm putting this up because you need to be shamed for the world. We're gonna leave that up for a while because this man, boo this man. Jeremy Shelton needs to be booed. Shame this man. I love Jeremy Shelton, by the way. If you're new to the boat, I love this deluded man. I really do. And he is deluded, make no mistake. Mama Bear says that's why we all love you two so much. We relate. You know, it was great. We laid there in bed. I'd love to tell you about the sordid sexual details, but we actually just watched movies. Although she ate 4 fried green tomato slices and a cup of okra. If you don't know if you know what okra is, but she got those fried up. I wanted to actually give both of those a try because I am used to these things in their slimy form. Quibs doesn't do that. In fact, if you ever eat with her, like if she ordered milk, she would want it crispy. Everything that Quibs, she doesn't like a runny egg would absolutely drive her insane. Everything has to be kind of very, very cooked, crispy, so to speak. And I mean, you know, the whole Anna Nicole thing, kind of a little crispy. You know what I'm saying, peeps. But anyway, so I thought I'd like to try those done that way, right? Because okra can't be slimy the way that she cooks it. It's not possible. And it isn't. It truthfully is not slimy at all the way she cooks it. I don't like the taste at all, but I was willing. I really thought I might. My brother loves it. Johnny loves both of those things, which doesn't make any sense to me. Johnny and I are so different when it comes to the things that we eat, aside from the obvious, right? The flame throwing crap that comes out of his mouth. DeAudrey Gore says, we can hope in some universes it was never made. I think that this is probably the only universe, DeAudrey Gore, where that film was made. No, I mean this. I absolutely mean this. Tommy Bird, you know something? Tommy Bird just described hell. I hope Johnny Scoville is still here. There may actually be a universe where every movie is Caddyshack 2. That's where I'd probably get stuck with my luck. People, get right with the Lord. However you see that, but just on the outside chance that Tommy Bird has struck something here and that hell might just be every single minute of every single day being forced to watch Caddyshack 2, I would find religion and find it quick. Yes, she is officially a Southern gal now, ordering okra and fried green tomatoes, but she actually cooked them. Yeah. I think ABBA and the Bee Gees is where good taste goes to die, says Jeremy Shelton. Again, he's deluded. Look, I've said it before. I'm pretty sure I stole it from Wayne's World, but I believe it was Wayne, right? Who said, Led Zeppelin didn't write music everyone was going to love. They let the Bee Gees do that. Now, it's a funny joke, to be sure. But the truth is, very few people don't like the Bee Gees. And Jeremy Shelton says, a lifetime watching a movie about mini golf. That would be a dream come true. Tommy, have you ever seen the TV show The Good Place? If not, you should watch it. Just don't Google it first. Irrelevant Panda, I would be game for that. It really comes down. Hello, Brazy. It really comes down to how it's filmed. And this is a really easy way to think about it because somebody described this better to me than I describe it myself. Documentary stuff is one camera. They film the whole thing with one camera. Me and you talking, me just sitting here, right? The whole time you've been here. All you're looking at is one camera. There's nothing that's getting interspersed. I can watch that till the end of time. And people go, well, how can you watch Beetlejuice? Because my mind knows exactly what's coming. Does that make sense? My mind's not trying to reassemble a puzzle, which is what we do. If you were to take somebody that has never seen a film in their life, right? Let's say they grew to 60 and didn't realize that cinema existed. They had never seen a film, and you were to take them and put them in a theater and show them the opening 15 minutes of Saving Private Ryan. They would run out of that building terrified, right? Terrified. The images coming at the speed they were coming at, their brain would not be able to assemble. We do that because we've been doing it our entire life. We've been doing it since we're children, and we have learned to take images that are just like this and assemble them to make it look like we're actually watching action. We're not. We're watching 1,000 pictures edited together very quickly to give you the impression that Tom Cruise, whose birthday was yesterday, by the way, is hanging off the side of an airplane, when in all actuality, he's in some studio in although he does a lot of his own stunts. I'm not picking on the little guy. I'm just saying there's a lot of CGI. There's a lot of stuff that can be done because we're not watching film. We're watching a gazillion small segments of crap edited together. My brain can't assemble that together without getting a migraine. So the more editing in a film, the less likely I am to be able to watch it. I know I've said it many times before, but Louder Milk is great, and I think it may be single camera. Lori Lee, I actually have Louder Milk in my queue from the last time that you said that, and that I do believe I can watch that, by the way. I Got You, Babe should be a ringtone, says Jill Anderson, and I cannot agree with that more. I have a great story about that. Squirrel down a rabbit hole, but I'm going to tell it. Happy birthday, Tommy, and 4th of July to you. On the far side of the pond from me in Ireland. Well, God bless you. Love people on the other side of the pond. Had a quick phone call. I'm back. We've been talking about him the entire time he's gone. People, do you realize he has no idea what we were saying? Good Lord, Johnny. I wondered why you weren't angry. Lori Hart says, Tommy, finished the physical therapy on my wrist yesterday and walked day 64 this morning. Going to be proud of myself and the dog. How cool is that? And how happy is your dog? Her dog was just like, what the hell? 64 days ago, things got good, right? That's the happiest dog in North America. Went from not walking to walking every single day for a lot. That dog's like, great, love this. Speaking of animals, I'm going to, I wanted to tell a story. What was that about? Hold on a second. I Got You, the ringtone. When I was in college, and trigger warning, I'm going to be talking about drug use. Trigger warning. I'm not glorifying this. I'm telling a story, but this is a story from college. And this is I found this one pretty entertaining. If you want to know the truth, there we go. We had a fat, large sack of fungus. You know what fungus is? The psilocybe cubensis, magic mushrooms. And about 6 of us decided to partake on these on one particular evening in the late 80s. And on that particular night, we were staying up to watch David Letterman. Back in the day before internet, that was a big deal. Staying up late to watch Late Night with David Letterman, especially if you were on the East Coast, you really had to earn that crap, right? You had to stay up late to catch Letterman. And he did a lot of funny stuff in the beginning, like the human fly, where he would jump and stick to a Velcro wall like that. He just did some really, really funny stuff in the early days. And then but back then we would stay up quite late to watch it. And on that particular night, he was having on, I believe Cher was the guest originally. And then he brought out Sonny, or maybe it was Sonny first. I don't remember, because I was, by way of full disclosure, sparking. I was tripping viciously at that point. So were the 5 gentlemen that I was with. All of us were supposed to be going to a keg party that was being thrown by the rugby team in that part of the world where we were going to college. Since we missed that, the fellas were all coming back, right, from that party. We went to the door and opened it. Well, Letterman had talked to, you know what? It was Cher, because Letterman said, if the 2 of you, if you could get together, and sing a song, do I Got You, Babe, or something along those lines. And he got her to the point where she said, yeah, I would, I probably would. And I bet he would. And he said, it's funny you say that, because he's in the green room, and they got them to come out and sing I Got You, Babe together. And they were looking into each other's eyes. Now picture, we're 18 to 21-year-old guys. Jeremy Shelton's about to really let me have it. But as the rugby guys get there, and barrel chested, our rugby brothers get to the door and pull the door open. And there are 6 dudes sitting in chairs and on beds and, all just staring at the TV, right? Getting a good cry on. Now, before any of you judge me, you would have cried too, even if you weren't on fungus. But it was such a beautiful moment that for the rest of the 6 hours or so, I knew someone was going to say this. I'm so happy. I am so happy. For about 6 hours, for about 6 hours afterwards, I could not rein it back in. And all of us, and you know why Johnny's laughing is because Johnny knows exactly who I'm talking about with the rugby guys. I mean, these are mutual acquaintances of my brother and I. And actually, yes and no. We had an identical. There was a dude that looked so much like my brother's best friend who went to my college that when the 4 of us got together, everybody thought we were a pair of identical twins. It was really, really odd. But Tommy, yeah, that's a little uncalled for. Tommy, I can give you my address. I will need you to mail me all of your man cards. They have been revoked. I knew it was coming. And I'll take that. I'll take that. Yeah. Okay, I'm officially old. Thought Sonny was first because you could see Sonny was fighting back tears. Debbie P, I could be officially old. I'm Dane Bramaged. We've already established that I'm slipping. I could 100% see who's first and be wrong. This happens, sadly, with older memories. They're called false memories. It's not like I invent things wholesale, but I will take something and like transpose it. I've told the story on here many times, but the first one that really floored me, I was talking to my father when he was still alive, and we were talking about one of the first confirmation hearings for a Supreme Court justice. Was Clarence Thomas. And I said, I remember those hearings. I said, do you remember Linda was our cat? I said, I remember her. I said, that was toward the end of her life. I said, I was playing with her. And when I got done with my story, my dad said, Linda had been dead for years. And I said, no. He said, yeah, we were in Texas. And I thought, oh, the poor old man is slipping. Like I was bummed out. I said, oh, Chief, no, man, no, we weren't. I said, trust me, I could pass a polygraph. And this was the early days of internet, like AOL early days of internet. And I actually Googled it. And there was no chance it could have been in Vermont. It was years after that. But I promise you, even to this day, knowing the truth, knowing where I was, I can still remember playing with my cat in Vermont and watching that. And it never happened. It never happened. So you could be right. And that night I also was not on my A game in terms of cerebral acuity. At that point, by way of full disclosure, I was down the rabbit hole literally and physically. Hey, Relatable Reese says, excellent coitus. That's a great way to start. Mandela effect, says Johnny Scoville. Yeah, Johnny, I think when it happens to an entire group of people, it is definitely the Mandela effect thing. And that does happen. And we could talk about, I should do a Mandela effect show. But if I do, I want to get Johnny on. Mischief managed. Good to see you too. Well, decluttering the house is something that I got a wee bit of experience with in the last 5 or 6 weeks. And I'll tell you what, people, the last probably 4 or 5 days of my life have been more peaceful than anything I can remember. That's no shit either. I have had this has been it's been as close to a Zen kind of just content that I can remember. And I certainly it's certainly the happiest that my memory will allow me to remember. And that's pretty damn cool, I'll be honest. I bet you fall in love with peppers in a whole new way. Then I chase the heat. Also, if you mess up your labeling, you know what, Teresa, some of the stuff that Johnny, hello, Wharton Thistle. Good to see you, my brother. Some of the stuff that Johnny eats, I was talking about this the other day with Quibs because we were trying to think of what we were eating. Oh, you know what it was? We brought home chicken, like little chicken thing from the store that we just had to heat up these little yeah, just like breaded chicken. And Quibs was like, "I'm gonna get out some hot sauce. You want some?" And I was like, "No." And she looked at me like I said, I don't like puppies and kittens. She was like, "You don't want hot sauce?" I'm like, "I'm not my brother. Like he's a freak." Truthfully, I'm kidding, but he is a freak. No, I don't put hot sauce on everything. I really don't. But I ended up doing it on that because I didn't realize she had Tabasco green, and Tabasco green is fire. That's just one of those sauces that decluttering is the best. You know what? I'm going to do a show on this too. Johnny Scoville. Johnny Scoville is a minimalist. For real. Johnny likes what Johnny likes, and he has excellent taste. But I think that if Johnny had his druthers, he would live in a house that was 1,300 square feet, right? Maybe even less than that. Like whenever you see one of those really jazzy micro homes, I always look at him and go, "Oh, that's a cool concept." But Johnny gets that look on his face like he's looking at at a Daytona Cosmograph or a really ridiculous watch. He gets that look on his face like, man, I could see myself living in that. I think he's a minimalist. Horton Thistle says, Tommy, I have a whole case of Tabasco sauce. Johnny can remember a time when I first began I didn't like hot sauces, period. And I got very, very sick at a time in my life in my 20s. And when the sick was over, my taste buds had been very much realigned. And I was craving something and I didn't know what it was. And if my father hadn't recommended, we were at a Denny's or something. I don't know if it was a Denny's, but we were at a place that served that kind of like breakfast food. And my dad was like, "You should put Tabasco on that." And I said, "I don't like Tabasco." He said, "How the hell do you know?" None of those things seem to, none of those things seem to make sense anymore with your taste buds anyway. And I put a little on, right? And I started buying the 1 gallon jugs of that crap. Me and my business partner at the time went to McCliney Island where we went out to the Tabasco place and took the tour. Like I got so into Tabasco, it was crazy. It really was. And then I kind of grew out of it. But the green stuff, forget about it. I could drink green. And the other one, and I'm not just trying to pimp my brother's product, but the only other sauce I've ever seen that was like that, Penango. The stuff from that Johnny did with Blazing Foods, pineapple mango. The Penango is just friggin' ridiculous. He sent me a bunch of it when I was out in Oakland and got the package. So when all the stuff got delivered to me, there wasn't any Penango in there. And I was like, "Bro, he sent 4 bottles." And he's like, "Yeah, but I had it a week." Yeah, I'm not kidding. And I was like, "What were you putting it on?" He was like, "A spoon." Yep, no joke. I prefer doing sauces myself with chilies. I just harvested from yeah, I love it. Jimena, I get it. I don't think that Johnny does. Honestly, there's not a whole lot of commercial brand left in the Scoville house usually. Because people mail us stuff all the time. So usually we're doing small batch, like kind of art, sort of artisan hot sauces and things of that nature. But I completely concur. We had this stuff that a guy made for us that he had something to do with an alligator. Johnny will probably remember the name of it, but it was like a marmalade with Carolina Reaper in it. And it was one of those things that tasted so good and it burned so bad that I could not stop eating it in spite of the fact that like it's threatens your serenity kind of hot, takes away your happy kind of hot. And I still couldn't stop eating it. Lisa Trimble makes a great point. She says, reminder, please protect animals from the fireworks tonight. Do what you can to chill your animals out. For real, they don't understand. And that's a bummer. I think I'm fairly safe. Where I am going to be really surprised if fireworks bothers the animals here. We're pretty out in the middle of nowhere. Hell or high water. he'll have. The best thing for a cluttered mind is an organized living space. I agree. I really do agree. But I like the minimal crocodile tears, it was called. Well done, Johnny. See, Johnny still got it. Yes, the Scovilles are sauce aristocrats. I bet they roll down the window in their Bentley to ask the other car if they have any gray poupon. You know something? I'm going to tell you a story about that, but I'm not going to tell you today because number one, it sounds so unbelievable that if you didn't hear somebody else telling you, you'd say, come on. But Johnny, tell it. Johnny says, all right, I'll tell it. I will then. If Johnny says, tell it. So years ago, we lived on a boat, right? We had a keychain that said yacht on it. No, it wasn't really a yacht. It was like a 36 footer, but it was big enough to have, you each had a stateroom, and we lived on a sailboat, and it was 4th of July, Johnny. Holy crap. That would have been maybe 93 or 94. 4th of July, like 94. So 94, 2004, 30 years ago today. How's that? It was 30 years ago today that we were on the boat and we were heading out to see fireworks. But you start way early in the day, right? So this was probably close to noon when we first headed out. And as we're motoring out, there's boats everywhere. Even in the some of them are in the where they shouldn't be, in the channel, but the lake itself is completely just peppered with boats. So you had to go very, very slowly, and you had to be very, very careful. And we got to a place where it kind of bottlenecked, right? And there was a drawbridge involved. So you just sort of had to stop and keep where you're at and wait for everything to start moving. And as we were sitting there, we heard this thump, which is not a good sign when you hear something hit the side of your hull. But it turned out to be a guy in an inner tube. I shit you not. A dude in an inner tube who was wearing a tuxedo jacket with tails, the bottom of which were soaking wet. And he had on a top hat, swear to you, and a Heineken. And he talked again with the beer. And I said, yo, you all right? And he goes, yeah. You gentlemen got any gray poupon? And I said, I don't. I'm embarrassed to tell you, but sadly, there's no gray poupon on the, what is it, Johnny? On the Parrot? God help us. On the sailboat, we had no gray poupon. So we went back about our business and laughed hysterically because the way the cat was dressed was just bizarre. And he's floating in an inner tube. So we went out, watched a little of the fireworks show, and we're coming back in. And by now, it's about 12 hours later, right? It's the middle of the friggin' day, night, rather. And as we are getting to closer to where we're going to turn the corner to get back to the marina and park the boat, we hear the thump on the side of the hull. And I looked over at my brother. I'm like, there's no way. We go back up, and there's dude. And now you got to put a light. But there he is, floating in an inner tube. He's got a Heineken in his hand. He's wearing the jacket and the top hat. And he goes, gentlemen. And I said, you already asked us about 12 hours ago. We don't have any gray poupon. And he goes and flicks us a bottle, which Johnny caught. And he said, well, the next time somebody asks, you'll be able to help them. And I said, thank you. And that bottle of gray poupon stayed on that boat along with, well, let's just say that there was gray poupon that stayed on that boat until the day we sold it. Yes, don't forget to float over and drop anchor on that like button, and do me a favor and hit subscribe. You know what? Most of you came back. And if you are wondering what that means, and now I really am glad that I have a chance to talk about this, because Spanky got put in such an ugly situation when I had to get on the road and run. And I've mentioned this 10 times, but now I can tell you what that ugly situation really was, right? Quibbs needed somebody out there, right? And she needed somebody out there that wasn't going to let people threaten her or be cruel to her or try to take advantage of her. That's what needed to happen. And I got the phone call at about 6 o'clock, and at 9 o'clock, I was at the airport. And that did not give a whole lot of time for my boy to get ready to do the things that he had to do. Not an issue, for real. That's who Spanx is. The trouble was, there's also then this large group of people that are like, boy, Tommy turned into a scumbag. He's moving into the basement of a married chick. Like, I don't care what's going on. Like, this is just wrong. And I understand. And it's a very disturbing thing to not be able to say, let me tell you why I'm not the scumbag you think I am. Right. And you can't. And you just have to sort of sit there and say, well, this is what I would do for a friend. Right. And that was about all we could say. Now that you've got a pretty good idea of what was really going on and what she needed a little bit more than people to help her pack. Right. Although I did some packing. But since being able to say that and articulate that, the number of you who have reached out to me and said, I'm sorry, I'm not looking for any of this. I really am not. I understand what it looked like. Right. That's why I never lashed out or got really ugly or anything else. I understand what it looked like. But it's really feels liberating to be able to say, this is why you run to the airport, because there had been threats already, right? You know, it certainly is going to get worse when the time comes to walk out the door. Sometimes you got to trust the people and situation without knowing the details. Kim Roy, you know what? I really, truthfully, completely understand this sentiment. And on the flip side of that coin, I also completely understand the people that don't. And I'll tell you what I mean. Sometimes we really sort of we build a relationship with content creators that's real as hell. It really is. It's super freaking real. But if the content creator does something that seems wildly out of character or that seems to fly in the face of the kind of things that they preach, I understand where everybody that took offense came from. Right? Truthfully. No, Teresa, no problem. And the people, look, do you know how many times somebody has reached out to me and said, hey, I am a little concerned about X, Y, or Z. And then there are people who say, you know what? He deletes every single comment. Go read the shitty comments from my last video. I'm going to trash you if you're a phony. The person that I took umbrage with in the last video in the comment section is, you all know who that person is. The person is not who they created that account 14 minutes before the video. I mean, before leaving the comment, 14 minutes. So in 14 minutes, they found my channel, watched a 1 hour video, and then left that comment. No, that person is, we know who that person is. And but the point is, and people left comments that said, you know, I would have expected you to be a little bit kinder to people in your audience. I don't crap on those people. I got to explain to you, though, I know who this person is, right? This is a very large individual, and most of you know who this person is, right? But I understand why someone would say, what are you doing? Well, I'll explain myself. And if it's too much for you, then you leave, right? There are people who really link up with content creators and there's really a synergy and they really feel something and they become a part of a community. It's not BS. It's real talk. This is tribal, whether you realize it or not. It's absolutely tribal. There's a group of people that come together who are all trying to recover from something. This is a recovery channel. It ain't a sobriety channel. So people who go, you know what? I never had a drug addiction. No, you did not. That's awesome. I never had an eating disorder. That's fantastic. You know, I've never had a gambling problem, right? No drinking, no nothing. I promise there's something you need to recover from. I promise. I've not met a person yet that did not have something that they needed to recover from. Recovery is, to me, is the most important thing on earth in my life is recovery, not just mine, but the people that I meet. And it's definitely the focus of everything I'm doing for the remainder of the time that I'm here. Yeah, to be sure. But it's going to piss off a lot of people because I'm not a sobriety channel. And for the people that want to rail, I get ugly emails from people that say, you know, the people on your channel who are smoking pot, the people who are, why do you care? Again, sobriety and recovery are two different things. And if you want to judge somebody because they're using cannabis to treat fibromyalgia, walk a mile in their shoes, man. Walk a mile in their shoes. Currently, the medical community doesn't treat fibromyalgia. Well, they don't know how to treat fibromyalgia. They don't, right? So am I saying weed is a cure for fibromyalgia? Hell no, I'm not a doctor. And even if I was, you couldn't say that. But I know people whose quality of life is through the roof because they're using X, Y, or Z. They're not abusing it. It's not a coping mechanism, right? It's something that is improving their quality of life. If it's improving your quality of life, then the addiction is not an issue, because by definition, addictions destroy lives, right? An addiction is continuing to do something that you know is horrific for you in the face of bad shit that's happening to you every day, right? In spite of the fact that your family's taken off, in spite of the fact that you're getting evicted, in spite of the fact that you just continue to use, right? That's the definition of addiction. I had a wonderful birthday, Renee Rainbow. I had a wonderful birthday. It's different for everyone. My daughter, who is 21, has fibromyalgia, diagnosed at 16. God, that's hard. You like the t-shirt, Shelly? Yeah, I'm a fan. I am absolutely a fan of this t-shirt. It's my girl's. She was responsible for getting this. So I'm very, very, I love it. I think it's one of the funniest things ever. Yeah, hidden diseases are so painful because now you have to deal with judgment on top of everything else. And that, Teresa, is exactly why I can't deal with people who are pissed off about weed in someone's life, right? With everything going on with people who have fibro, you got to have doctors who are looking at you like, yeah, sure, they're in here to get oxys. They're just in here trying to get this or getting, whatever. That's disturbing. And then on top of that, you got to have people going, oh yeah, and they're not sober, right? She eats gummies at night. Man, tell you what, stay in your lane. You will be astounded at how much happier you will be in life if you stay in your lane. Hill says, Spanky is kicking ass and taking names. It's amazing how fast people grow under the right circumstances, but I'm glad you're doing more content, Admiral. Thank you, Hill. I'm glad I am too. But I'll tell you something. What you don't see behind the scenes that Spanky is doing is the reason that I'm doing content. I had my lowest moment since leaving prison of life. I did it live. And I said, I hate this audience. And it was really, probably the height of my mental illness as well. And I'm not saying that as an excuse, but I have not healed from what has happened to me with everything that happened in the past. With the meltdown and the medication and all the stuff that was happening to me, I definitely have not. I'm not back where I started. I'm still having problems, but I'm learning different ways of journaling and coping. But the biggest thing is the amount of what Spanx was able to take off of my back has allowed me to fall in love with the Lifeboat again. And that really is a gift that is beyond anything that someone could give. There's a great line in Men in Black where he's talking about disclosure and telling people that there's aliens. And he said, let's tell people can handle it, right? People are rational. And Tommy Lee Jones says, no, a person is rational. People are panicky. And that's really what had happened. Every person in my audience I loved, for real. But as the entity, as this breathing thing that I was trying to help and take care of and all that, I was getting to the point where it was killing me. And I was hating that. And it was disturbing because this is the greatest thing that I've ever done in my life. In fact, it's the only thing I've ever done in my life that, that I can really take pride in. I take a ton of pride in my kids, but my wife did the heavy lifting. My ex-wife did that. I was incarcerated. The Lifeboat is a baby that I've taken care of from birth, and it means a lot to me. So the fact that he can do what he's doing and allow me to just come on here and hang out and talk is a beautiful thing. Johnny says, I think if content creators were honest, we've all been there. You know something? I'll tell you, I'm not effed up about it. Like I will sit here and tell you, I do what I do in front of the camera, but my brother is being very kind, but we know a couple of content creators who are very, very vocal about it. Just when no one is around. I do like to come here, and I do like to wear my heart on my sleeve. And that's not always the greatest thing, but it's what I've done from the very first time I started. And I'm not gonna hold back on that. And Quibble is that times 6, right? She has a filter. People say she does not have a filter. Quibs has a filter. I think it's in storage in Kansas City currently. I'm kidding, but no, she does. But she's very, very open and honest. If it helps to take some of the burden off of you, I can suspend my BG Recovery Fund campaign. We all have to make sacrifices. You know what? It's funny that you say that, because I think that truthfully, the soft, dulcet tones, that music that just makes people feel better, that 1970s, all that music from the 70s, I think is one of the greatest untapped resources in bringing people to that point of Zen contentment that can only happen in falsetto. And you know what? I'm going to drop the microphone on that one. All right, people. I am the Admiral, Tommy Scoville, and I'm going to be back probably tomorrow, I would imagine. I will be back tomorrow. Between now and then, you know the drill, right? Reach out and try to save somebody. And I want to thank all of you again for all of the lovely things that you said, all of the beautiful emails and gifts. You guys are fantastic. It really is. It's really humbling. I don't think enough people on earth get to experience what that feels like. For real. People that just want to support you and believe in you is a feeling that beats the piss out of any drug I've ever done in my life. Tell you what, that's real talk. And thank you more than anything else for being the audience on YouTube that stays out of drama as much as humanly possible, because there just ain't a lot of it here. And that warms my heart. I am the Admiral, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.